Hello and welcome to End Step, and what a fabulous Pro Tour it has been. Rivals of Ixalan, just an amazing top 8. That's Paul, that's Rich, that's Simon. I'm Maria, and Simon, it's time to pick your card of the weekend.
It wasn't a very difficult pick. I'm picking Lantern of Insight as the card of the day. A completely unique effect, and if you combine it with the right cards, an incredible combo card, a lock piece, something that challenges the players and the opponents to find new ways to navigate well, the battlefields, but also each draw step. And I think this was its breakout tournament.
Yeah.
It's kind of unassuming too, isn't it, Rich?
Right, and just such beautiful flavor text as well on that card. Each eye sees a different possibility for tomorrow. Yeah, and like any Pro Tour pool, the winning deck is in the trade binder. It's on the set lists. All you have to do is see the pieces of the puzzle coming together, and every single player who played in this tournament knew that this card existed. Every single one of them could have listed it in their deck. 9 did, and in the end, Luis Salvato is the one who's left standing with the Pro Tour title.
Yeah, just going into the weekend, I think a lot of people, when they prepare for certain matchups, they're just like, all right, I want stuff for artifacts. But it's usually directed towards affinity. I think now, might be the guard might be changing. Lantern of Insight might be the artifact deck that you need to prepare for, and if you do, you might need to kind of shift the way you build your deck. Look at Jerry Thompson's list. He had a list that was good against affinity with Lingering Souls, but he didn't really have a lot of hate. I expect a lot more Stony Silences, Ancient Grudges, and even cards like Shatterstorm if we're going to see a lot of Lantern of Insight.
All right, Lantern of Insight, your card of the weekend. Let's find out from BDM who our team of the weekend is.
Thanks, Maria. When the team series was announced, Team Ultimate Guard was one of the teams that we just all assumed would be in the mix the whole way through. During the first season, they were near the top of the standings, but they kept getting sort of buffeted about and knocked out there. But and they had a pretty good start to their season despite no top 8s, but now they are on top of the team series leaderboard right now. Of course, you have Reed Duke in the top 8, but you also have John Finkel finishing in the top 16, the 27th top 16 finish of his career. He finishes in the top 16 like a third of the time he plays on the Pro Tour. And when you have a player like that on your team, it's not surprising that they are going to be on top of the leaderboard in the team series.
Well, it's time to throw it to Tim and Riley for our match of the day.
Thanks, Maria. Of course, our feature match area replete with talent. We got to see a whole bunch of matches. And while Lantern of Insight and Lantern Control was the deck that took the trophy at the end of the day, I want to talk a little bit about Jerry Thompson's performance. We saw him playing against human decks in the feature match area all weekend and crushing them. But when it came to the semi-finals, he was up against Pascal Viren, who had not lost a match all weekend. And you know what? It came very close to him continuing that streak.
Yeah, that's right. We saw a truly impressive performance from Thompson all weekend. Mardu Pyromancer, it grinds like Rodney Mullen, and I tell you what, toe-to-toe with his blue control deck. Very difficult for many to pick a side. Obviously, Mardu Pyromancer is a fantastic new addition to the modern format, but hard to barrack against those cryptic commands, Tim. But at the end of the day, this was an absolute grind fest where Jerry Thompson looked to be down for the count, but things really changed after a couple of he chained a couple of Betty Revs there. A few Bedlam Revelers came down, and things ended up going a different way there, Tim.
Yeah, it was one of those things that pre-sideboard, it seemed to be all about Viren. He was 2 games up very straightforwardly, and as they were sideboarding, as they were preparing for game 3, you had Jerry sort of saying, wow, the reverse sweep. I don't know if I've ever done one of them. He won game 3 relatively straightforwardly. It came down to game 4, though. He was facing down 2 copies of Thing in the Ice. Using fetch lands, he put him in a position where if they both transformed, he was just flat out dead. He had nothing. He had to chain together a couple of key spells to deal with those threats, and then once he got past them, he was able to run through it and in 5 find a way of making it to the final. Our match of the day, but it's been a day full of great matches.
It really has. Thanks, Tim and Riley. Well, it's time for our winner interview. Let's hear from the man himself, Luis Salvato.
Thanks, Maria. I'm here with, get ready for it, Pro Tour champion, Luis Salvato. Luis, you're going to the World Championship.
Yes.
You've got this trophy. You've got a big check. You've had a little time to think about it since your interview up there. How does it feel to be a Pro Tour champion?
Well, I always say that the feeling of won a tournament is when you leave the place and you won all you can win, it's incomparable. It's amazing, and I never expect this success in modern because I'm not an old player, but I feel incredible.
Now, you've talked about an alternate universe where you could have been playing Obzon or 8-Rack in this tournament, which is crazy to think about, but you put in a lot of work with Lantern of Insight to get yourself into this position. Talk about how important it is to just prepare and study with a deck before you pick it up for an event like this.
Well, the thing is, when you start to play a deck, you need to know how to win every game. And I learned fast how to play a deck, and with the help of all the information online, it's you have access to everything. So you have the tools. If you put your work on it, you can do it. It's not for free, it's not easy, but you can do it. And then Unlimited, I had really good masters, like in form of Marcio, Thiago Saporito, even Jose Cabezas. It's too good. And I learned a lot these past days playing draft. Even in the house, I made like 0-3, 0-3, 0-3, 1-2. And the last day I made a 3-0. But then in the Pro Tour, I learned a lot. And I feel if you are prepared, the game compensates you.
Now, speaking of compensates, Pedro Carvalho, does he ever need to buy a drink in your presence again?
Never, never, ever. I will pay for all he can eat and drink every day I see him.
So depending on how far that money goes, you might start avoiding him at some point.
He's slim. He's like...
Okay. Now, one of the things I thought was very interesting, we see a lot of things in this deck with the lock, and all the pieces. But you might have a tip for people who are thinking about picking this deck up. You assembled sort of a softer lock with Academy Runes and some other cards early on in the game. So can you explain to people something they might do to sort of control the game early before everything's in place?
Yes. Sometimes the people think it's a stupid deck when you play Lantern, Mill Rocks, Bridge, and win the game. That's the easy part. Like when any deck has Thoxis, Tarmogoyf, Liliana, it's the same. But sometimes you have a lot of tools. For example, the Mishra Bubble is insanely good, and the Pitted Needles also, like in the quarterfinals. Without that plan on the lands, I couldn't win. It was easy before with the Ghost Quarter deck, the black-green version, but Weir is too much better overall, not against the lands, but overall. Playing the deck, you learn a lot of small edge you can take in any game position. And you need to be prepared and to wake up mentally to identify all that pieces, because if you take too long time, you draw or you lose by time. And that's why I am confident with the deck, because I can play fast and I never draw a round. So you need to play fast, even if you are not doing the best play, you need to play fast.
Very important to play fast. Now, where can people see? You're going to be signing Lantern of Insights for some time now. What's the next event you're going to be at?
The Grand Prix in Chile.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, Grand Prix in Chile. You can see him there.
Yes.
Congratulations, Luis Salvato. You're taking that trophy back to Argentina.
Yes, I want
I'm sure
to
you have a lot of friends. Oh, please.
Yes, send hi to all my friends. My friends from Luján, where I live. They understand a little bit the game, but they are completely lost with this deck. So I need to use football comparisons to explain how I win the game, because they were looking at the coverage, and then I lose, win. So I want to say hi to everyone, and to all my family, and to my friends from Magic. They support me a lot, and I love them. And a big thanks to Sebastián Pozo. He's one of my best friends and my partner in all the tournaments, and this is for everyone.
For everyone. Congratulations,
Thank
Luis
you very
Salvato.
much.
Thanks very much to this weekend's Ultimate Professional, Luis Salvato, and also to our Ultimate Professional, Brian David Marshall. All right, so Simon, give us the word. What will you take away from Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan?
Lots of things. Rivals of Ixalan Limited, modern, a format I love. It's my favorite constructed format. My favorite moment, oh, actually not my favorite moment, but the moment where my heart actually stopped for a second. Round 16, Luis Salvato, our champion, had to play against Lucas Esperberto to play for top 8. He was the only one paired down, so that was already a bummer. Playing a teammate, not what you want to do. He has the game locked up. He's about to head into game 2, up a game. We're even talking about, should Lucas just concede here? This game is over. And then the shock. He didn't properly de-sideboard. He goes from being virtually up a game to getting a game loss, being 1 game down, and he has to win the next 2 games to actually even make it to the top 8. But he doesn't, and that's just an amazing display of, well, deck mastery, but also, I think, mental strength.
Paul, how about you?
Yeah, for me, it's the fact that Modern is wide open. You know, oftentimes when people talk about Modern, they're like, well, you know, everybody plays all these hyperlinear decks. Well, look at all these interactive decks that we saw. We saw Jerry Thompson play Mardu Pyromancer. I didn't even know that deck really existed coming into the tournament. We had Pascal Viren playing blue-red control with, you know, Thing in the Ice and Young Pyromancer. So there's just like a lot of room for innovation. So, you know, sometimes when you want to hop into Modern and you played a bunch, it's not necessarily clear that you can just play the top decks. There's always room to innovate. I mean, look at Lantern Control, right? Who figured out those collections of cards and found a way to make it work? I mean, it was Zach Elsik, and then now it's won the Pro Tour. So just keep in mind that there's always room for innovation in this format. That's why it's one of my favorite formats.
Maria, your takeaway?
I mean, I agree with Paul. The deck diversity at this tournament was so incredible and reflected in our top 8 as well. I love Modern because it's a format where you can pick a deck that's kind of like your pet deck and you can play it. Even at the Pro Tour, people are playing my pet deck, which is Boggles. And even Lantern Control, a lot of people would call that their pet deck, and it won the whole thing.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. So if you do love Modern, we hope we've given you more reason to go out and play, because pretty much anything that you thought you could play a week ago, you can play next week too, because Modern is the format that keeps on giving. We'll be there to bring you the continuing evolution of Modern in Grand Prix Toronto, because Magic just keeps on moving. But right now, Argentina is the center of the Magic multiverse, with the news that Luis Salvato is the champion of Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan. For everyone on the team, Rich Hagan saying bye.